been saying this for like 3 weeks now. I need to get my clicker fixed. I'm fed up of having to lean over. And I'm sure you don't like it. So, anyway, I decided to do another highly recommended. I didn't think I was going to do it. I thought, oh, I'm doing this. This is a chunky book I'm reading. I'm going to, it must be next week when I do it. Finished it. It was that good. So, what we're looking at is the softcover omnibus, Volume 1 of Cyberpunk 2077. I'll read the synopsis on the back. So, oh God, my hair is annoying me. So it's an action-packed collection of 3 intense stories exploring the underbelly of Night City. 100 floors high in a skyscraper occupied by an onslaught of gang members. An EMT assistant is tasked with rescuing the man responsible for her former members' deaths. And following an assignment from one of Night City's most notorious gangs, a family is torn apart and a grandmother returns to a life she left behind on a mission paved with blood. Then, when a brain-dance technician is overcome with despair, he finds that in darkness comes opportunity. So, it's on my highly recommended. It's a highly recommended video, so that means I enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. When I was initially looking at buying this, I was torn between buying this or buying the first omnibus collector's edition of Blade Runner, the Titan series, the 2019 one. And I basically looked online at different pictures and thought, I enjoyed the Edge Runners manga, what I reviewed in one of my videos, which I recommend you check out. I thought, I enjoyed that world. And I've explained on the video for that is that I have got the game. Obviously, this is a media tie, it ties into the Cyberpunk. It's a PS4 game I've got, the Cyberpunk game. I'm crap at the game, but I love the world. I'd love to be able to play the game more, but I'm just like really, really bad. That's nothing to do with the game. It's me. I am shit when it comes to a lot of modern games. I just really am. I like the small indie games more. The ones that are just more like story driven instead of you having to be dexterous on with your fingers. But by the way, like I said, I love the world. So really enjoyed Edge Runners. So I'll give this a shot. And I got it for a really good price. So it contains the first 3 mini-series. There's been a second volume that's come out, but at the moment it's in the library hardback edition. But I want to get it. I just like a softback. It's so much more easy to read. So I'm going to wait for the softback, which is coming out, I think, late November, early December. And so I will buy that and we'll do a review when I read it. But this was amazing. I will say, before we go on to the review, you get a chunk of great back matter. So you get the variant covers, character designs, layouts, the whole process. So if you're a geek for stuff like that, which I am, if you like the whole artistic process, that's in here as well. But we'll go by step by the stories. Oh, that's the inlay as well. Really nice. I love like the whole neon feel of it. It feels like a Dayglow Blade Runner, as if directed by a coked up Quentin Tarantino. That's the only way I could describe it. And a bit like Inside Number 9. This is a really random style, but it's a bit like Inside Number 9, where it's this cast of characters and some there's a really good sting in the tail. And each story has a fantastic sting in the tail. And what's clever about it is that even though each of the stories are quite nihilistic, handled differently by other people, it could be a depressing read, but it's not. It's a fun read. It's the same kind of stylistic balance what David Lapham does with Stray Bullets. So if you're a fan of Stray Bullets, this is really good. It's like a neon-drenched, futuristic noir crime story. So it's like a hard-boiled crime story with the trappings of cyberpunk and the trappings of sci-fi to it as well. And so the first story, which is called Trauma Team, is written by Cullen Bunn, art by Miguel Valderrama. Now each story has a different artist. That's the cover for the first chapter. And the artwork in each one, there's no bad art. It's Dark Horse, you know you're going to get a quality comic. So it basically sets the scene, the first episode, like it read on the synopsis on the back, and how her initial team of medics got wasted by this guy here. And so she takes time out, the reassessor, and she goes back to work for the medic team. I mean, look at the colours. The colours just one of the big stars of the comic as well. So she's got this new crew, and it's basically these medics for hire. So it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you've got the funds, you can hire them to get you out of tricky situations, to apply medical aids for people. And so they're having to basically go into this tower block. It's a bit like the Judge Dredd movie, where there's this big tower block, or The Raid. It's got that kind of flavour. And they've got to fight basically the way through this tower block to get to their client. But the twist in the tale is who the client is, which is this guy here. I'm not going to give too much away, but the pace, I read this story and literally, I couldn't put it down. Cullen Bunn, when he's hot, he's scorching. He's a fantastic writer when he's really enjoying a story. But then he can be, I think he does his worst work when he does superheroes, but he does his best work when it's something, what you can tell he enjoys genre stuff more. He enjoys like sci-fi and horror, and it shows in this. And the payoff in the end is just absolutely amazing. So I would give the first story an easy 9 out of 10. It was a very, very satisfactory story. It wrapped up really well. And what I have noticed with the third story is how some of the characters, what you see in some of the earlier stories, like a Tarantino movie, it's the weave in and out of the stories just as background characters. So the next story, which I think, I don't know, I really enjoyed each story for their own merit. The next story is by the guy who wrote the Edgerunners manga, Bartosz Stybor, who's a Polish writer. Art's by Jesus Herbas. And this is just stunning. Again, with that beautiful, beautiful colouring as well. So this focuses on this woman. You think, oh, there's nothing special about her, but she's got a deep secret from years ago. And then it shifts scenes to this gang who are working for this basically like mobster. Particular emphasis on this girl here. And then something happens. And is she who she says she is? And she has a connection to the woman who's working in the cafe earlier on. And then it basically becomes almost like this John Wick kind of story, where she basically, the grandma, goes on a revenge. And again, just look at the artwork. She goes on a revenge against that gangster who we saw earlier, for details which I'm not going to go into. But it's about, to quote Fast and Furious, it's about family. I didn't do that really well, did I? But again, just look at the art. It's brutal, and it moves at a clip and a pace. It's brutal and savage, but you know what makes it different to a lot of stuff what's like that, say even compared to say something like 100 Bullets, this is fun. There's no message really apart from family. But it's wonderful, and the use of cybernetics and virtual reality and this science fiction background feels very, very grounded in a weird way. I think I would love for these guys to do, it's the closest you can get to us Neuromancer in comic form. I could picture William Gibson, Trace of Neuromancer, loving this. But again, the twist in the tale as well about who she is and the relation to other people is amazing. And again, it's got a really good sting in the tail, which I did not see coming. And it pulls you up. You're like, oh my God. So again, very, very strong. Again, another 9 out of 10. And then the last story, which is, that one story is called You've Have My Word. Last story is called Blackout, again with the writer Bartosz Stybor. but artwork this time by Roberto Ricci, or Ricci. That's the cover to the first issue. So this one's different. It's about this. It starts off with this really weird page where he's just imagining different ways that he could die. So he's basically just given up on life, and he's working for this conglomerate called DMS, where they basically deal with virtual reality and they implant dreams and fantasies to people who can afford them. It's basically like give people like living with shitty lives to have like a dream fantasy, but they can also use it to like punish criminals by basically making them relive the most horrific things over and over in this virtual reality world and stuff like that. And so he's basically like a repairman for them. If a unit goes false, he gets sent out to fix things. He's friendly with this woman here, who's an edge runner. They're basically like people who do errands for high flying crooks, etc. And he's friends with there's a cop who is befriended this guy here who's got a drinking problem, and he uses his technology. He wants to use his technology not to just give people disillusionments, but to heighten their lives, to make it give basically do two things: either give them a sense of comfort, or to give like a shock therapy where it makes them turn their lives around for the better. And it's very, very clever. And it plays on this thing about where you're not sure what is real and what's not real. And again, artwork is just tremendous. And so he quits his job. He's just had enough. He's fed up of working for this conglomerate who are just basically out for themselves. And he wants to use the skills and the technology to help people. And so he decides to get his own back against this big corporate body by pulling a heist. It's not really ruining anything, but again, like I said, because it deals with virtual reality, you think the story's gone somewhere, and then somebody takes off a headset, and you think, oh, great, it's not. It was actually somebody's fantasy that they were living through. Then this is the hardest one to explain and to divulge really without ruining the twists and the shocks. But let's just say it's very, very satisfying. There's a wonderful, wonderful uh, car chase, very reminiscent a bit of the Fifth Element, to be honest, with this taxi cab being chased by all these police. And so, very, very satisfactory conclusion for all the characters involved. This was the closest one where you really got to know all the characters and you were like rooting for them all. It was just great, very satisfactory ending. But I'm not going to show any more because, again, huge thing in the tail and it would ruin it. But all I can say is buy this book if you like sci-fi, if you like things like 2000 AD, if you like films like Blade Runner, um, like I said, William Gibson books, anything like that. It's like the best of that type of stuff, but with a faster pace. Like I said, it's got the beats and the sensibility of like the best crime comics, say, like I said, by David Lapham. It's really, really highly stylized in the artwork in the best possible way, beautiful colors, and the writers are you can tell the writers are having a ball. You can tell it's overseen by this team who owns Cyberpunk 2077. So everything feels cohesive and feels like a shared universe. And it comes from my highest recommendation. That last story, I would give a 10 out of 10. I absolutely adored it. I fell in love with the characters. And yeah, like I said, that's all I'll say because I don't want to ruin the end to it. But yeah, so I would say the whole book itself is a 9.5. It's really, really good value for money. It's $29.99. And like I said, you get loads of back matter. You get 3 high quality different stories. I devoured this in a few hours because it was that addictive. This is the best kind of drug you can get. A good comic that keeps you reading right through to the end. So hope you enjoyed that. Do check us out. Cyberpunk 2077 Omnibus Volume 1. Bye.